Good afternoon, teachers and students. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to get started here in just about another minute, so please stay tuned. Thanks so much.
Hello, everyone. I'm Congresswoman Deb Haaland, and I'm honored to share a few words during this year's Discovery Festival. The 6th Annual Discovery Festival, hosted by Big Brothers Big Sisters, has become a wonderful tradition, providing a wide array of opportunities for New Mexico students to discover the future of STEM. New Mexico is home to many historic and consequential scientific breakthroughs, discoveries that range from revolutionizing the way we'll power the cities of the future to expanding our ability to explore the cosmos. This year, for the first time, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Central New Mexico is hosting Discovery Fest virtually. I'm amazed at how many events and presentations this team has put together under such challenges this year, and I'm delighted to see that a record number of New Mexico students will join the fun and the learning of Discovery Fest. New Mexico is an amazing home for technology, and our kids are in a great position to learn more and take advantage of our state's unique and important role in the national tech space. In Congress, I support expanding STEM. Opportunities like Discovery Fest and fighting for resources for your incredible teachers, because I know how important science, technology, engineering, and math will be for our future. I want to let you all know about my annual Congressional App Challenge that invites students to come up with one-of-a-kind apps and have their app displayed at the national level. Students learn to code, manage a project, and learn more about technology. In that spirit, I'm thrilled to welcome this future generation of innovators, inventors, and explorers, and all the incredible teachers developing these bright young minds to this year's event. Our beautiful state of New Mexico, America, and frankly, our whole world's future will be counting on the creativity and innovative spirit of you young people. So I want to encourage all the future physicists, researchers, biologists, and engineers watching right now to keep reaching for the stars. Learn all you can, and most of all, have fun at this year's Discovery Fest. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Congresswoman Deb Haaland. We are so thankful for your words of support and encouragement. My name is Will Tapia, and I would also like to welcome you to our 6th Annual Discovery Festival. I'm the Advancement Coordinator for Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I normally put on this event year to year. So I want to just real quick talk about what Discovery Festival was and what it is for, of course, 2020, this crazy year that we all find ourselves in. So Discovery Festival normally is a one-day event held at the Albuquerque Convention Center. We get about 3,000 students from all across various areas of central New Mexico who all descend for this event, and we get about 50 plus exhibitors from various areas of STEAM. And of course, STEAM, as we all know, stands for science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. So it's a super blast. The exhibitors love it, the students love it, and it's all emphasizing the importance of hands-on demonstrations and that you don't really need to leave New Mexico to study and work in STEAM. So that's kind of what the event's all about. Now this year, of course, I'm broadcasting from my home. So due to the novel COVID-19 pandemic, we have moved all of our demonstrations and all of our exhibits totally online. And not just for one day like it was in the past. We've opened it up for just about the entire month of November. So if you can believe it, we started all the way back on November the 2nd. So we've been doing it for a little bit of time here, and we're wrapping up in just about 4 more days. So we have 4 more days of Discovery Festival to go. And so we've scheduled a series of live streams and webinars from our various exhibitors, and it has been an absolute blast. I know our students and our teachers have gotten a big kick out of it. And speaking of which, so if you're watching this live stream on our YouTube channel, a couple of ground rules. So if anything happens, if the stream goes down for whatever reason, if we have any issues that come up, with the live stream. I don't think it will be. We have not had any problems at all up to this point, but you never know, right? In technology, with technology, some stuff can just melt down. So if that happens, don't worry. Go right back to this YouTube page. That's the BBBS CNM YouTube page, and we'll have the stream back up and running shortly if anything happens. Secondly, please use the chat function on that live stream. Teachers, if you're streaming this inside of your Google Classroom or wherever you're doing it, if your kids have any questions or any observations, or you want to let us know where you're watching from, please type it there inside the chat, and we'll be sure to read that live on air for our presenters. That's a very cool feature of these presentations, and hopefully keep it interactive and engaging for all of our students. Also, I want to, of course, as always, just give a quick shout out to some of our sponsors for this event. What you're seeing today would absolutely not be possible without their support, especially these folks here. Honeywell has been amazing supporters of ours for many, many, many years, and they've thankfully come back to be a sponsor for our 2020 Discovery Festival event. So thank you so much, Honeywell, our Da Vinci presenting sponsor. What you're seeing today would not be possible without Honeywell. Thank you. To our Curie sponsor, Fidelity Investments. Fidelity is a hit every single year at Discovery Festival, and they did not disappoint this year. They spoke on what is credit and why save. And if you missed out on those presentations, don't worry, you can still access the recordings on our website, discoveryfestnm.org. You can watch a recap of what they presented on. Fidelity is a fantastic community partner of ours, so we are thankful for your support. Thank you so much, Fidelity. To our ride sponsors, to Aztec Machine Repair out in beautiful Bloomfield, New Mexico, and to Air Force Research Laboratories, AFRL. They presented on this past Tuesday. They talked about satellites. It was absolutely amazing. It was one of our most popular demonstrations. So again, please check that out if you missed out on it. But thank you so much, Aztec Machine Repair and Air Force Research Laboratories. To our Newton sponsors, the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, or DTRA, they're presenting to all of our high schoolers this coming Monday. To Kirtland Air Force Base, they're also presenting on Monday. Micronet Solutions, Sandia National Laboratories, and to all of our heroes at Presbyterian Hospitals. Thank you so much to all of our Newton sponsors. Okay, I think that's all the announcements I want to say for now. But again, please, if you haven't already, use that chat function. Send us your questions. Let us know where you're watching from, and anything that comes up during the presentation, we will ask them live on air. Without further ado, I'm going to invite our two guests on for this morning. Down at New Mexico Tech, I'd like to welcome Jared Cervantes, the admissions advisor for New Mexico Tech, and Joseph Romero, the Associate Director of Admissions and Recruitment. Welcome, gentlemen. Do we have you on?
Hey, thank you for having us, Billy.
Awesome. Great. Welcome. I'm going to flip off my camera and everything for now. But again, if any questions or anything comes up, students, please drop that inside the chat and we will ask them live on air.
Awesome. All right. Let me share my screen real quick. All right. So we will go ahead and run through. So thank you everyone for stopping by. I guess maybe technically you can say tuning in this time. So I'm Jared Cervantes. Again, like Will said, I'm the admission advisor for New Mexico Tech. I cover usually northern New Mexico as my territory. I'm also an alum from New Mexico Tech. I graduated back in December of 2015, so almost 5 years ago now. So you'll hear me kind of as I go through the presentation talk a little bit about some of my experiences as a student as well. And then Joseph, he's here just kind of giving me some moral support. If I forget to mention something or if he has something to add, he might chime in a little here and there. In no way, shape, or form is he here just because I might be a little bit nervous right now. They've learned I'm a little bit of a troublemaker, so they can't let me just be by myself on these things. But so we'll go ahead and get started. We'll go ahead and start off with some of our rankings. So at New Mexico Tech, we are always extremely proud of our national rankings that we have every year. So some of them that we like to talk about, we do have a lot of our departments that are top 5% in the country, some that are even in the top 1% in the country. And there's even a few that are actually #1 overall for their respective programs, such as materials and mechanical engineering. We're also #1 for best overall college, best academics, and best value in New Mexico. So really, really great rankings, really great stuff to look at. And kind of just highlighting some alumni that come from New Mexico Tech as well. So Dr. Carol Brearley, she's vice president of the National Academy of Engineering. Dr. Terry Wallace, he is the previous director of Los Alamos National Labs. He did some great things for us. He worked with our presidents, both past and present, to get some co-ops going, research agreements, those kind of things. It's opened up a lot of doors for our students. Lucas London, super influential petroleum businessman. He's on the board of, I think, like 7 or 8 different petroleum and mining companies. Something I learned recently that I always think is kind of mind-blowing and cool. He owns a yacht. He's a multi-billionaire. Owns a yacht, and his yacht has its own Wikipedia page. Just something absolutely insane to think about. And then the really fun one we like to talk about, Ed Freeze. He is the vice president of game publishing at Microsoft. And if any of you guys have ever played an Xbox before, you have him to thank, because he was on the team that created the original Xbox. And that's kind of like what catapulted him into that vice president position. So some really cool alumni that we have coming from tech. Get asked a lot about where our students go as well. So this is obviously just a very small handful of companies that our students go work for. You see Los Alamos and Sandia Labs there. You see our own logo on there. We do have, I believe it's about 12 research centers on and around campus that are run by New Mexico Tech. So we do have students that will end up getting jobs with some of those research centers after they graduate. Or you have students like me who end up enjoying the kind of recruitment side of stuff, might end up working for one of the offices on campus, helping the students out. So there's that. We have all the big oil companies that come in, big tech companies as well. Our student services office does a great job helping our students find jobs. Generally, on a normal year, before graduation, we have about 85% of our students who either have job offers already or have grad school lined up. And out of that remaining 15%, about 10% of those students actually don't start looking for jobs until after graduation. So that really makes that number look even more impressive. And even this year, with all the craziness of COVID and everything, we were still around 75% of the students who had job offers or grad school lined up before graduation. So even in all that craziness, they still did a great job helping our students out. Just some quick history and facts about us. So New Mexico Tech, we were founded in 1889 as New Mexico School of Mines. 1951 was when they changed our name to New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology, which is what we're still called today. That's our long form. Of course, most people know us as New Mexico Tech. We do offers associate's degrees all the way up through doctoral degrees. So we welcome you to stick around with us as long as you'd like while you're in your academic career. 98% of our full-time faculty have their doctoral degrees, and where that really plays in is that all of our lectures from your freshman level courses all the way up are taught by the professors. So a lot of other universities, your freshman level courses often are taught by graduate students, but not with us. With us, you're always going to be dealing directly with your professors. So you're always going to be learning from people who really, really know their stuff. And then we're located just about an hour south of Albuquerque. So for any of you who aren't quite sure where Socorro is, we're right off of the interstate, about an hour south of Albuquerque. So our admission requirements. So normally we require for high school students a 2.5 GPA and either a 21 ACT or a 1070 SAT. We are now test optional though, so we don't require that ACT or SAT. As long as you have that 2.5 GPA, you are able to be offered admission to New Mexico Tech. If you've taken your ACT or SAT already, or you plan on taking it in the future, it definitely won't be for nothing though, because those tests can still help you out when it comes to your course placement and things like that, when it comes time to register for classes. We do also accept any dual credit, AP, and IB credit as well. So dual credit, we just ask that you send us an official transcript from whichever college you're taking your dual credit through. AP and IB, you send us your test scores, those kind of things, and we will make sure that you get credit for all of those courses. So at Tech, you're not just a number. So we are a small school. We're a little under 1,900 students, and that has combined both our undergraduate and graduate population. So that leads to about a 12-to-1 student to faculty ratio. Your average lectures are going to generally be around 20 to 25 students. Largest lecture you'll have with us is about 60 students. That's going to be your freshman chemistry courses. Even in those larger classes, a lot of times within a month or so, professors know most of the students' names. So the really big advantage of those small class sizes is that interaction with your professors. The professors get to know you on a first name basis. They all give you office hours, phone numbers. They all have open door policies. So you really get to interact with your professors a lot. You really get to build great relationships with them. When I was at Tech, I actually had a professor who, if I had like an hour to kill between classes or something, if he was in his office, I would go sit and just hang out, even if I didn't have anything to talk about regarding class. I didn't have any homework questions, anything like that. We could still just sit and just talk about anything and everything. So it's really cool that you get to know your professors that way. As opposed to at a bigger university, you might be just a face in a sea of 400 students in a massive lecture hall. I was kind of like talking about the picture too. That's actually from a class that I took, anatomy and physiology. So we have one of our town vets in Socorro that teaches classes throughout the day. He just enjoys teaching, so he likes to teach something here and there. But for our anatomy and physiology lab, he brought that horse in. That's one of his personal horses, and you can see the skeletal system painted on one side, kind of the digestive system and stuff like that on the other side. I believe when I was there, he had the muscles painted on the other side of the horse. So really cool hands-on stuff like that that goes on really all the way across the board in all of our degrees. And speaking of our degrees, the ones that we offer, so this slide shows our engineering programs. You can also see we have a management program there as well. The management program focuses a lot on entrepreneurship. We do have several maker spaces on campus for the students to use. I believe we have 2 that are just for the students, and then 1 that's open to the public as well in our library. So those are really cool areas. Some of these programs, you can see an asterisk next to them as well. Those programs are ones that do offer an accelerated master's program. So you can actually get both your bachelor's and your master's degree in 5 years. So it knocks off about a year from having to get your master's degree, which is really nice. Those programs generally, I believe it's junior year. Your junior year with New Mexico Tech is when you apply for those. But some great opportunities with those. Highlighting some of the pictures there. Top right, there's the mini Baja car. That's one of mechanical engineering's big design projects they do every year. The prosthetic hand you see there is really cool. That's a bunch of the engineering departments working with our biomedical program as well. We have one of our staff members who had a really bad carpentry accident. So they've been building over the last few years that prosthetic hand for her, and they're trying to get it to work as closely to a normal hand as they possibly can. But it's really cool. It responds to her nerve endings and everything right now. So really cool project that they have going on. And then our science programs that we offer, arts and sciences. So another kind of non-STEM related degree you see on this slide, technical communication. So we do have some things that aren't necessarily entirely STEM related. So if you're not all about science and engineering, we do have some options for you as well. Biology, that was the department I was in. I loved my time in the biology department. Did a lot of cool stuff. Like I said, those classes with Dr. Wilkinson, the town vet, those were always tons and tons of fun. There was the horse. One time he brought a live wild owl into class that had a broken wing, put on a bird glove, carried it around the classroom, showed us how he fixed it. He'd always bring in like tissue samples from surgeries that he would have done that morning before class. And we'd kind of dissect those and look at those. So really, really cool stuff. We kind of like mentioning too, for the physics, we are one of 5 schools in the entire country that actually offers concentrations in both astro and atmospheric physics. So that's pretty cool. Astrophysics, we have really great resources for that. We have an observatory on campus. We're close to the Very Large Array Telescope. We're close to the Magdalena Ridge Observatory as well. Those students are actually working on building a interferometer telescope out there at Magdalena Ridge that is going to be one of, if not the largest in the world once it's finished. And they're actually going to have access to be able to use that for their research and stuff. So really, really cool stuff going on there. And again, with the 5-year combined bachelor's and master's options as well, with the programs with the asterisks next to them. Some resources to help the students, because tech does have a reputation for not being the easiest school out there. But as long as you're willing to go out, get the help, you'll do plenty fine with us. So we have the Office for Student Learning. That's our big tutoring center on campus. They have a peer mentor program. They have tutors for pretty much every single one of the basic courses that we offer, all of that stuff. We have department help rooms. So a lot of the departments have these help rooms where they actually employ tutors to sit in those rooms specifically for those departments. So those are really helpful. Outside of that, most of the departments also have some sort of study room. So even the ones that don't necessarily hire people like that, hire students like that, you might be able to still find some other students hanging out in the study rooms. We are a very collaborative campus. So everyone's always pretty much willing to help if they can. So you can always ask questions of other people you find in the study rooms, maybe working on homework outside the cafeteria, stuff like that. Smart classrooms. So we have the smart classrooms all over campus. That's kind of how we've been going about with like online classes and stuff this semester, trying to get through the pandemic. We have also been having in-person classes as well, obviously, of course, with proper distancing, masks, all that stuff. But the smart classrooms, when I was a student, were always awesome. Professors would record their lectures, post them on the class website afterwards. So it was always really helpful. If I was sick and had to miss class, I could still go back and watch the lecture, not have to have totally missed out on everything from class that day. Or even just is a great tool for studying when you're studying for a test as well. If you need to kind of refresh your memory about something, you can go back, rewatch the lecture. So those are great. And then again, like I said before, the professors are extremely accessible. You get emails, office hours, phone numbers, all that stuff from them. And they all have their open door policies as well. So even outside their office hours, if they're in their offices, you can feel free to stop by and ask them questions. So our student affairs and career services. So they take care of a wide range of stuff for us. So the career services does a great job helping our students with jobs and everything. We have 2 big career fairs every year, one in the fall, one in the spring. We usually have around 75 companies or so at each of those. Students also get access to Handshake, which is a career website that Tech alumni have access to. It's current Tech students and Tech alumni, so you basically have access to it your entire time after you graduate as well. We do international programs, and we do have a study abroad. So if you're interested in studying abroad, that is an option. Basically, our director of student affairs, the way he puts it is he says, you tell him where you want to go and he'll get you there. So really you have tons of options for that. We do have minority programs as well. So we have the AMP program through the NSF, and then kind of additional career services as well. The weeks leading up to career services, they do resume workshops, cover letter workshops, mock job interviews, all that kind of stuff. This year, they're actually doing the mock interviews over Zoom, since everyone's that's how everyone's doing everything these days. So I thought that was really cool. And again, the career fairs, they'll do etiquette dinners and stuff like that as well, which are pretty cool. And one of the things that I think is really great also is they have what they call the career closet. So they offer free professional attire. So if you don't have a suit, stuff like that, for a job interview, you can go to them, check that out for free, and wear that for your job interview, which is really nice. So clubs and activities. So most academic departments on campus will have some sort of professional club associated with them. So those are the ones that are great for networking, great for making connections for your career after you graduate. We do have Greek life if you're interested in that. So we do have a fraternity and a sorority. Club sports. So at New Mexico Tech, we don't have NCAA sports, unfortunately, but we do have club teams that still get competitive, travel, play other schools, both in New Mexico and outside of New Mexico. So rugby and soccer are kind of our two big ones. We have men and women's for both of those, but we do offer rock climbing, golf, volleyball. Big one that we actually don't have listed on here that we probably should add. We do have an esports team that's gaining a lot of momentum on campus as well. And then there's a whole other list available on our website with some other club sports as well. The gym puts on intramurals throughout the year. So basketball, indoor and outdoor soccer, tennis, volleyball. The intramurals are a lot of fun because it's not just the students that get involved. Faculty and staff are also encouraged to get involved. So when I was a student, I did basketball. The custodial staff had a team that would play. That was always a lot of fun. Our office over the years, we've had in previous years, some of our student workers put together a volleyball team, and we would kind of go out and play with them for the volleyball intramurals as well. So it's a lot of community involvement there. Across New Mexico Tech, it's not just the students. And then tons of just completely random clubs as well. So we have our student radio station. We have a ballroom dance club, a swing dance club, billiards, ping pong, kind of more basic stuff like that. We do have a lot of food related clubs usually too, which is always really interesting to see. So in the past, we've had cereal club, tea club, sushi club, taco club, bunch of different random ones like that. When I was a student, the big food club was Waffle Club. That one was always a lot of fun. They would meet at the weirdest times. They'd meet at like 11 o'clock on Tuesday nights in one of the courtyards, and they would just make waffles. And if you wanted a waffle, you could go get a free waffle, which was always interesting. But it was always a nice break, go get some food, go socialize a little bit. If I was up late studying, working on homework, anything like that. And with us, it's really easy to start clubs. So if there's a club that you're interested in that we don't offer currently, you just get about 15 signatures from other students, fill out paperwork, and you can petition the student government to give you funding in order to get your club started. So lots of options for that there. Some other stuff to do around campus as well. We do have a full 18-hole championship golf course that's super nice. I believe it's still only $7 for students as well, for a full 18 holes, which is insane. That's something I wish I would have taken advantage of more as a student. Now, even as an employee going, it's like $45-50 for a round. So really great deal for the students there. The gym, we did actually, now over the summer, just the weight room and everything in the basement just got remodeled. So it's super nice down there now. They have racquetball court, squash court. They have a indoor rock climbing wall, basketball courts upstairs. They offer a bunch of equipment that you can check out as well. So equipment for any sports that you want to play. If you want to go camping for the weekend or something, you don't have your own camping equipment, they have camping equipment that you can check out for free. We're pretty close to the Rio Grande River, so they actually offer canoes that you can check out to take down to the river with you as well. And that's all free for the students. So that's always kind of gives you some extra stuff to do. We have our swimming pool on campus as well. It is an outdoor pool, but in the winter, they put a big heated bubble over it. So in the winter, you're not going to have to be polar bearing it, swimming in the freezing water. It is free for the students, and I believe you get one free guest as well. And then outdoor activities, being that Socorro is kind of a small rural town, there's tons of outdoor activities around us as well. Like I said, there's campgrounds. We're close to the Rio Grande River. There's a bunch of hiking trails, mountain bike trails, some canyons that our rock climbing club goes to in the warmer months to practice. So plenty of stuff to do. And then again, worst case scenario, pretty easy to get back up to Albuquerque if you want to make a day trip over the weekend or something with some friends, and find something to do up in the city. You have that option as well. So our housing that we offer, these are all the dorms that we have. So we do have an all male and an all female hall. The rest of the dorms are going to be co-ed either by floor, wing, or suite. The traditional style dorms, those are kind of your standard dorms where you have one hallway, shares a big bathroom. Upside with those ones, you don't have to clean the bathrooms. Custodial staff will come in, do that for you. Suite style dorms, those dorms are 2 bedrooms that are connected by a bathroom. So South Hall is the one that's pictured on the top. That's what both South and Baca Hall look like, the suite style dorms, a little more kind of like a motel with the doors on the outside. And then the rest of them are all doors on the inside. Suite style, I lived in South Hall my freshman year. I kind of enjoyed a little bit more privacy with only having 4 people to a bathroom. Downside of it is sometimes it was a little bit of a pain having to argue with roommates and suite mates whose turn it was to clean the bathrooms that week. But just kind of depends on your personal preference. Baca Hall, we do, that one is a 24-hour quiet hour dorm. So if you get distracted easily, need a little more quiet for study and all that kind of stuff, that would definitely be the dorm for you. I know I definitely could have never handled that dorm. I like my music. I like socializing. I like not, the quiet bugs me, so it wouldn't have been a good one for me. And then student apartments we do have as well, both on and off campus. Mountain Springs, the off-campus ones are still only 2 blocks away, so still easy to walk from your apartment to your class. And then we do offer family housing as well. Desert Willow, those are kind of townhome style, but that's more, if you're married, have kids, that kind of thing. Oh, and I forgot to mention too, with that, 2 big perks of living on campus, actually. We do offer free laundry. So all of the dorms have multiple laundry facilities in them. Your student ID that's coded as your key card gets you into those rooms, and you just provide your own detergent, softener, that kind of stuff. But using the machines is totally free. So that saves you a lot of money. And we also offer free parking on campus as well. So we don't require you to get a parking pass or anything. As long as a spot is open, it's yours for the taking. I guess I should say, as long as it doesn't have the president's name on it. You technically could still park in his spot, but you might come back after class and your car not be there. So that's a gamble you might be willing to take. A little too rich for my blood, but again, free parking, never an issue. Might have to park like a building over or something from where you're going, but our campus is so small that literally might add an extra 45 seconds to your walk. So really not a big deal. So costs for attending New Mexico Tech. So these are going to be full year costs. So that'll include both your fall and your spring semester. So our tuition and fees are a little over $8,400 for the full year. Room and board, we quote a little over $8,600, but that's kind of an average across all of our housing costs. So you can actually knock a good little chunk of money off of that if you're going to be just living in a standard dorm with the least expensive meal plan, which is what most of our students do. I believe it's usually right around like $1,400 or so that you can knock off of that. So that'll help save you a little bit of money there. But also other ways that will help you pay for your education. So being from New Mexico, you obviously have access to the lottery scholarship. Tech tuition assistance, that is what we give you your first semester while you are qualifying for the lottery scholarship, though, because the lottery, you have to meet certain requirements during your first semester, which is the 15 credit hours and maintain a 2.5 GPA. And then second semester, as long as you've met those, you get the lottery. So for that first semester, we give you that $1,400 to help you pay. And And then also the rest of these scholarships, the copper, silver, gold, and presidential, those are all our merit-based scholarships. Those merit-based scholarships, we do stack full value on top of the lottery scholarship. So you see the lottery says you get 4530 a year. So if you get that, plus you get the silver, you get that full $4,000 from the silver scholarship on top of that 4530 from the lottery. So realistically, you get the silver and the lottery. You've basically paid all of your tuition and fees off, and then any money after that will help go towards paying your housing if you're living on campus. We also have a bunch of alumni endowment scholarships on our website that you can apply for. We accept any third-party scholarships from outside organizations, any FAFSA money, all of that. We continue to stack that all on top of each other. Excuse me, and we don't limit how much money you're allowed to bring in. So once everything's paid off, if you have money left over, you get a refund check at the beginning of the semester. And so essentially, if you get yourself enough financial aid, you can basically get paid to go to school with us at New Mexico Tech, which is really, really cool. So there's all that. And these ones, you are all already applied for automatically when you apply for admission as well. When you fill out the admission application, these merit scholarships, the lottery, all of that, you're automatically applied for. So you don't have to do anything separate for those ones. There's the transfer scholarships as well. So later on, if you decide we might not be your first choice right away and you decide you want to come after a year or two somewhere else, we do have the transfer scholarships that will mirror those merit scholarships as well. So again, they range the 2,000 to 6,000. They're based off of your GPA, cumulative GPA while at college as well. And then just kind of a additional one that we offer is kind of a need-based scholarship. We do have this first year student success scholarship. So if you are a New Mexico resident, you complete your FAFSA and you are Pell Grant eligible. Once all your other financial aid has processed, if you still owe any tuition and fees, we at New Mexico Tech will pick up the rest of that bill for you and take care of the rest of your tuition and fees. So just another way for us to kind of try to help everyone have access to New Mexico Tech education. And just kind of some final stuff, important dates. So Exploration Day, kind of our RSVP and stuff is closed for that. That was our fall open house. We will be doing, though, a first Friday. We usually do a first Friday campus tour / presentation for over Zoom that you can sign up for. You'll be able to find that on our website coming up next week, most likely, to sign up for the December date. Research at Tech Day, that's usually our spring open house. Usually it's on President's Day. This year we're kind of holding off to see where things are going to be once we get into the new year, see if there might be any possibility of being able to host people on campus again or not. But if you fill out an inquiry card or you fill out an application, get on our mailing list. Once we've made that decision, you'll definitely get an update on that. We have a transfer day, specifically for transfer students, March 5th. The scholarship deadline. So March 1st is usually the scholarship deadline. Our scholarship deadline, all that means is just you have to be offered admission by that time. So now that we're test optional for 2021, as long as you've applied, sent us your transcripts, and you meet that 2.5 GPA requirement, you will be in consideration for scholarships. You will meet that scholarship deadline. If you are offered admission after March 1st, there is still a possibility of getting a scholarship. It just kind of depends on what the funding availability is at that time. We usually like to remind students as well, if you receive a scholarship offer from us at New Mexico Tech, you have 30 days to respond. So if you get one from us, make sure you accept that scholarship, send it back to us. Accepting your scholarship doesn't commit you to attending New Mexico Tech or anything. It just sets that money aside in case you do decide to attend, so you have it there for you. Doesn't stick you at a lower scholarship either. So if you get one scholarship offer, accept that, your GPA increases, test scores increase, anything like that, you qualify for your next scholarship up, you will be offered then that higher scholarship as well. And just kind of the last thing here, we are offering one-on-one visits that you can sign up for on our website. So you can sign up to have a email conversation, a phone call, or a video visit with one of us from the admissions office. Again, like I said, we're going to be doing, we do the first Friday tours and virtual campus tours as well. And then there's the link to our application. You can also find that on our website. And then there's our contact information. So that is our office phone number and our main admission email. And then we can go ahead and share my email after this as well in the chat for you guys. But so that is all I have at this point.
Awesome. And we did share that that phone number and then as well the admission at nmt.edu inside of our YouTube chat. So teachers, please copy and paste that if you have any students that you think might that this might be a good fit for you or for your students. And we did get some questions in too, which I think is pretty cool. So I'm just going to start firing away. I think some of them you may have already answered. We just kind of copied them down as they came in. But so first up, and this is a big one that we've been getting quite a bit right now, is during this pandemic, is New Mexico Tech virtual?
So the way we've kind of we're able to do it this year, I guess probably kind of one of the perks of being the smaller school. We actually were able to offer a full like hybrid kind of setup. So we were able to leave it up to the students how they set their schedule up. So we had some courses that offered in person. Those were limited to 30 students at max to allow for proper distancing of desks, all that stuff. A lot of those courses were simultaneously also streamed through Zoom. So there were some synchronous, some asynchronous courses. So some that you had to be on Zoom during the time of the course, some that were pre-recorded that students could go back and watch. So yeah, it was really left up to the students whether they wanted to do full in person, full online, or a mixture of the two. So that was kind of how the classes worked. And then we did also allow students to live on campus. It was the way they worked it this year, one student per dorm room, unless students requested to room together. They were allowed them to make that request and allowed students to still room together if they wanted to. So that's kind of how we've handled everything this semester.
Awesome. Okay, that's pretty cool. I think for a lot of our students who might be watching this from home right now, you know.
Yeah, being able to get that, have that in-person option is definitely kind of nice as opposed to just staring at the screen all day.
Yeah, exactly. And I know you talked about this already, but this question did come in. If do I just have to study engineering to go to tech?
No. So like I said, it's most of our degrees are science and engineering. But we do, so there's engineering, there's also the sciences side of it. Like I said, there's the management program. There's the technical communication, which is more of a English related degree. So there are all those options. We do also offer just like a basic sciences, a general studies degree as well. So those ones just kind of give you a little more well-rounded approach. You kind of take courses from everywhere. So we do have some additional options like that outside of just the science and engineering that we're usually known for.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think that's a great thing that you mentioned, because that's the common stereotype or misconception, right? Is that it's only engineers, it's only scientists, or it's only biologists, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But there's a really wide array that's pretty amazing down there in Socorro. And so speaking of Socorro, this is kind of a neat question. So the student's asking, what is Socorro like?
Well, I'll let Joe's raised in Socorro, so I'll let Joe kind of talk about this one.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Socorro. I didn't go to tech, but I had a ton of friends that did, and they do a whole lot of cool stuff now. But it's a small town, small community. It is kind of centered around the college, you meet a lot of community members that work for the college, and you see them off campus, either in the gym or at the grocery store, whatever it may be. But what's nice about it is when school's in session, we're about 9,000 population, but you get to know everybody. I mean, you could be a student and make friends with a community member and then see them and have that relationship, for the rest of your life. So again, it's kind of centered around the community, the college, but we're a tight knit community on and off campus. Again, there's not the crazy, nightlife or whatever you expect from Albuquerque. But what's nice about that is that you're kind of allowed to do pretty much anything. You're able to go outside, get active. So if you're into the outdoors, great place to be. We do have a movie theater that just, we got renovated and updated, that a local family helped partner with New Mexico Tech to reopen the movie theater down here. And they get all of the big, big name movies and everything. Of course, right now, everything's shut down. But typically during a non-COVID year, whenever the big like Marvel movies or anything came out, they have a specific night, usually it's Wednesday night, where this New Mexico Tech students get in for free or even for like $1. So to get to see like the new Marvel movies for $1 is pretty cool. But yeah, it's a tight knit community. We're all kind of focused on the college and really creating that team atmosphere both on and off campus. So it's nice because you can be a tech student, and if you don't have a ride to the grocery store, I mean, it is pretty close. You can walk. Community members are first to help out and say, like, hey, do you need a ride? Or if they see a student trying to lug all kinds of groceries back to their dorm room, they'll stop and offer them a ride. So it's a really nice, close-knit community.
Yeah, I mean, that's what sounds like is so unique about this experience compared to other places, right? Is it's all so personal, which I think is very cool. Mm-hmm. And so, which leads us into our next question. Again, this is a common one that we've been getting for a lot of these recruitment live streams. And I'm glad the students are thinking about this stuff. But so what kind of classes or what things can the students do now in high school to kind of prepare themselves for New Mexico Tech?
Stay strong in your math. That's big. Math is needed for everything at New Mexico Tech. Even, Jared's biology degree, he had to take up to calculus 2. Mm-hmm. So being strong in math is really what's going to set you apart from other incoming freshmen. So if you can stay engaged in your math courses, your science courses, of course, but math is really important. And so if you can be very strong in math or be able to work through math, like I always said I did, you're gonna not breeze, but you'll have an easier time adjusting to New Mexico Tech as if you really stay engaged in your math courses. Now, Jared agrees with it. He offers a different opinion, but that's just mine.
I can actually speak from personal experience on that one. I did the kind of lazy thing in high school, and senior year, instead of taking calculus, I decided to take a programming course that counted as a math somehow. And skipping that year of math definitely really hurt me when I first got to tech. So yeah, that's definitely a big one from that. Like I said, I can speak from even personal experience that actually sticking with your math will definitely help you out a lot. Being that all of our degrees are bachelors of science as opposed to bachelors of arts. So you are required to go, no matter what degree you're in, up to calculus 2, physics 2, and physics definitely also uses a lot of math. So.
Okay. And would this apply, and so you're saying this would apply to all degree programs, even if you do end up in like any of the business or things like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And so the idea with our management of technology, technical communications, although those are not strong STEM focused degrees, they still encourage and really put emphasis on being strong in math, because an easy way to explain it, I think, is, if you're a technical communication major, it's your job to talk with the engineers, understand what the science and everything is behind it, and then reword that for people like me who are not, the strong science or engineering type. And so you still need to have a really good foundation of understanding science and engineering, while still focusing and really pushing your communication skills, so that way you can communicate effectively with everybody.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense for sure. And so we've been hearing a lot of these presentations about different types of engineering and I mean, a lot of this stuff is fields of engineering that our students didn't even know existed, or even myself, I didn't know existed either, right? And so we had a question coming in asking about what is mineral engineering. I think on one of your slides you had that up there.
So mineral engineering, it obviously that's dealing a lot with the mining and stuff like that, really extracting out the minerals that are used in really everyday stuff, everything that we use, especially electronics. There's a lot of those minerals that go into that. So a lot of it deals with kind of extracting those minerals, kind of the mining practices and stuff like that. That's one of the kind of really cool ones too, one of our unique things that I actually think I weirdly didn't mention at all through the presentation. We do have our own explosives range on campus. And that mineral engineering actually offers a full 4-year explosives engineering option for your degree. And we're actually the only school in the country that lets the undergrad students do hands-on explosives work as well. Which they're not like messing with anything too crazy. They're not like going out on the range and wiring up C4 and blowing stuff up like that. But they do get that experience still. So that's always a big one. And that's going to just really teach you with the blasting knowledge for blowing the holes when you have to go through with the mining and all that. But yeah, it's really just going to kind of focus on that mineral extraction is really what all that's going to kind of head into.
And so do you have active mines down there still?
There's one that's about southwest of town. I don't know exactly or remember exactly what, but yeah, it's an active mine, and every now and then you hear explosions from there, and then of course you hear explosions. I live a couple blocks off of campus. Jared actually laughed because we were on a session and there's this big boom, and he saw me kind of go like that, is because it was pretty much right there in my backyard, pretty much. At least that's what it felt like to me. So it's pretty cool, and you can always kind of see who's new on campus because you'll be walking around, and when they typically the car bombs are the biggest ones that they set off. So you'll see some people do what I did, and you'd be like, oh, must be new here, because all the other students just keep walking. It doesn't affect them.
That's funny. That's awesome. That's really awesome. And we've been hearing a lot about these past couple of weeks about dual credits and things like that with different universities. So if our students or any high school students here are looking into starting the dual credit program at their high school, does New Mexico Tech accept those dual credits?
Yep. So for the most part, most of the like basic courses usually don't have issue transferring over. We have been kind of steering students to kind of check with the course crosswalk on the higher education department's website. And that will give them the option. They can select, New Mexico Tech or any college. They can select 2 colleges, search for the classes, and it will tell them what's going to like transfer over for an actual course and what might only transfer over as elective credit, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where we've been steering them towards. But yeah, for the most part, most of those general courses don't really have any issue transferring over. And then all they'll have to do is just, at some point, we don't need it for admission purposes. So we usually say kind of spring semester, send us your transcript from the college, because we will need that official from the college to get them that credit for those dual credit classes. So
awesome.
We always recommend that if it is a physics course, make sure it's the calculus-based physics. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the one where we don't get hung up on, but that's the one, like if you take a physics course that's not calculus-based, it won't transfer over. It'll still get counted as an elective. But if you take the calculus-based one, it'll get counted for our physics class here at New Mexico Tech.
Okay, awesome. And I think we have time for 2 more. We're getting some great questions in. Don't forget, if your question was not answered today, please take advantage of contacting them again. We've dropped that email there inside the chat, so please reach out to them. They'd love to talk to you. So 2 more quick questions, and then we'll call it for the day. So we have this one, and again, I think you may have mentioned this already, but the student's asking how many students are currently enrolled in New Mexico Tech.
So yeah, it was like 1895 is the total that we have listed on there. So it's usually we float kind of around like 1,500 undergrad and like 400 to 500 graduate students. Usually those are kind of the areas where we float around with our enrollment every year. So just kind of ranges somewhere around that area.
Awesome. Okay. And then our last question, asking about, you're mentioning the career fairs for New Mexico Tech. So the students wondering, how are the careers still happening? And if so, how are they happening during COVID?
So they've, the one for now in the fall, they did it all virtual. I'm not entirely sure if it was, I don't know, Joe, if you know a little more. I don't know if they had like each company sent a Zoom link or something and the students popped in on that.
Yeah, so they had like separate Zoom links. What was actually nice about this year, or the silver lining because of COVID, is that sometimes we don't get as many, people who can come because of travel requirements and everything. So this year they had, I think, close to almost over 100 different businesses and organizations who attended the virtual career fair. And so it was a better opportunity for our students because they were able to access and talk to a lot more businesses. So again, silver lining of it all. But yeah, they kind of like this, sent in Zoom links, and then they met with students individually or in waiting rooms and stuff like that.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah, it is weird with that kind of virtual environment. We're finding the same thing. We're having students who are attending from around the state, not just driving distance to Albuquerque, So yeah, it's pretty, I was going to say it's pretty neat, but it's a weird thing to say because of course it's the trade-off of a worldwide pandemic. Anyway, that looks like that's it for our questions. Again, please, if you have any other questions, anything you wanted to follow up on, please reach out to New Mexico Tech. Use that phone number there inside the chat, or of course the email address there. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Great time.
All right, take care. Stay healthy and safe. See you guys.
Thank you. You too.
And I do always want to give a final shout out to all of our sponsors for this event. To Honeywell, our presenting sponsor for this Discovery Festival. Thank you, Honeywell, for your partnership this year. To Fidelity Investments, our Curie sponsor. To Aztec Machine and Repair out in beautiful Bloomfield, New Mexico. Air Force Research Laboratories, the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, Kirtland Air Force Base, Micronet Solutions, Sandia National Laboratories, and all of our heroes over at Presbyterian Hospitals. I also want to give a quick shout out for a couple of other programs that we have coming up for the remainder of this Discovery Festival. At 1 p.m. today, we have the UNM School of Engineering on. So in just about half an hour here, we have the UNM School of Engineering. So please come back and check that out. And then on Monday, we have at 9:30, the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, who's going to be putting a presentation together for all of our high school students. So if you are a high schooler or know a high schooler, please feel free to include them in that Monday morning at 9:30 presentation. And then, of course, we have Kirtland Air Force Base is joining us at 11 a.m. that day. And then Central New Mexico is joining us at 1 p.m. You can check out that list of events and more at our website, discoveryfestnm.org. Otherwise, stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll see you in about half an hour. Take care, everybody.